Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a new episode of Today's Youth. And today we will be meeting here live at the studio by Sabrina Dadour. She is a graduate of political science from Leiden University in the Netherlands. Thank you very much for joining us,
Thank you very much for inviting
Sabrina. Right, Sabrina, tell me, you studied abroad, you lived in Egypt, you lived in Germany, you lived in more than one country. Tell me about your experience living in Egypt and abroad and studying abroad.
I think it's a very valuable experience because it really showed me how to adapt to different environments and to live in different contexts, but to kind of feel comfortable in more than just one place. And I think it's also really a beautiful thing to have more than one country in which you live, because it gives you the possibility to have more than one home. And I think that's really beautiful. And I can just say that anyone who has this opportunity should really take it, because you get a lot of insight.
Right, Sabrina, you definitely studied in political science, you studied international law, human rights. How did these topics affect you on the personal and career levels?
I think it gave me the opportunity to be much more aware of issues that exist in the world, but also to really have this, this drive to want to do something and to be an active part of societies and to try to have a positive impact. And and on the career level, I think it really, it defined what I want to do. And I would really like to work in migration and with refugees. So that's kind of, I think that comes from the fact that I've been studying political science, but also from the fact that I myself have not only lived in one country, so I know the importance of being able to move from one country to another. And
are you planning that your future will be focused on working in immigration, human rights, with refugees? Is this your plan?
Yes, I would really like to. I think it's also especially important because we're entering a new phase where we don't know really how the future is going to look. We're facing issues of climate change, and through climate change, much more people have to migrate and to leave their home. So it's important to work in this field and to ensure that there are policies and framework that protect these people.
Right. You're currently working as an event coordinator, conducting panels for women empowerment. Tell me more about women empowerment from your point of view, and tell me more about those panels. How does it go? How do you prepare for them? You conduct interviews. How does it go? I mean, in details.
Okay, I think women empowerment is an incredibly important topic because everywhere around the world, women and men are not treated equally until today. So it's really important to create spaces where we focus on giving women the ability to use their voice and to use their passion and to be actually seen as equal parts, especially also in the professional world. And that's what we're trying to do with this event, because it's focusing on the art world, and especially the art world is very competitive. So it's important to create such spaces where women can show their art and be seen as equals. And regarding the panel discussion, so this is an aspect of the Empower Her Art Forum which we're organizing currently. And so basically we're organizing 3 panels on different topics around women empowerment. The first one is addressing the resilience of refugees, and especially refugee women who are also at the same time artists and active in the art world. The second panel is about the importance of women empowering other women and how this can be done through leadership. And the last panel is on the topic of women and health, and how it is important also to realize that there is still the need for empowering women in this field, as a lot of times the field of health is really also connected to men, and men are a lot of times the one who actually are put into the focus.
Right. So one of your main focuses is the resilience of women. How far did you find this? I mean, how did you see resilience of women in refugee camps, for example?
I myself haven't worked in refugee camps, so I cannot give that experience. But I think it's really important to see that moving to another country and having to leave your home and having to build up a completely new experience for yourself or a completely new life for you is extremely difficult. And often women are the ones who are, you know, the bearers of the household and of their children and their families. So they have huge responsibilities, and therefore, yeah, doing this and finding their own way and a new way, and working in the field of art, in this case specifically, is extremely resilient and strong. And I think it's also important to see that obviously refugees belong to vulnerable communities of society, but we also have to see how strong they are, and to see them as the people they are, and that they, you know, they moved somewhere else and they really, yeah, they are part of society, and we have to see them as the strong part that they are, and the important part that they are.
Right. Well, women has achieved a lot of her rights, definitely, in Egypt and around the world. But how far do you think she still has to fight for facing other challenges? I mean, what are the main challenges still facing women? I'm not talking about Egypt, the Arab world, or the Middle East. I'm talking in general, worldwide.
I think if we focus on the professional world, then one big challenge that women still face is that there is a pay gap. A lot of times women do not get the same
pay as
man for the same position.
In some countries.
Exactly, and that's a really...
For the same jobs.
Exactly, for the exact same job, and that's really important because, yeah, it doesn't value the work of women as much as it does value the work of men. So I think that's one of the biggest challenges if we're talking about the professional world.
Sabrina, you also contributed and participated in many activities at the University of Leiden in Netherlands. Tell me more about those activities.
Okay, so I've worked in different activities in university. I was part of the student organization of my studies, and I was the external officer of the board of the student association. And I was working on creating bonds with external organizations and other student organizations to allow students to have more valuable experiences in their student life. I also worked in the Bachelor Teaching Committee of my studies, in which we as students had the opportunity to give our input into the education programs that we receive, and to ensure that the quality of the education stays high and actually really adheres to the needs of students.
Right, Sabrina, we're going to go to a short break and we'll be right back. Welcome back, and once again with my guest Sabrina. You co-founded a civic engagement club empowering marginalized groups. Tell me more about the aim of this group.
I think the aim was to really raise awareness and to allow to create a space where students could come together and to talk about these topics maybe in a more practical way than we learn maybe in the classroom in university. So it was really, that was the focus, and it was, yeah, mainly to raise awareness and to have a space to talk.
Right. Talking more about the social aspect of your life, in addition to studying abroad, studying political science and international relations, you also have some special passion about dancing, about traveling. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, I'm a very passionate salsa dancer. I love dancing. It's yeah, it really brings
salsa
me.
Is beautiful.
Yeah, it brings me a lot of joy, and I lived for a while in Ecuador, and I think that's when I really developed that passion even more.
That passion for salsa, definitely.
Yeah, exactly.
What about traveling?
Traveling for me is, I think it is connected to the fact that I lived in many different countries. So for me, it's always really nice and important to go somewhere else and to, yeah, dive into a different culture and to dive into different languages. It really fulfills me.
You travel to different countries around the world. Tell me more about those countries and which was the most interesting to you.
I think that's a very hard question because they're so different to each other. I think, I mean, while I was living in Ecuador, I also traveled to Peru. So I think that was a very, yeah, it was beautiful to me, but I think that's also because I speak Spanish. So I had a bit of a connection to the place. And on the other hand, I also traveled a bit in Asia. I went to Singapore and Indonesia and Thailand and Vietnam. And I think it's really, what I like about traveling is that you get to know very different realities of people, and but at the end of the day we're all human, and yeah, you find always an easy way to interact with each other, and I
Yeah.
think that's the beauty of having the possibility of meeting people from different places.
Right. Moving back to your career that you just started, how do you see challenges facing youth in their careers? I mean, how do you overcome obstacles and be persistent to achieve your goals?
I think it's definitely not easy when you just graduated and you're trying to find work, and there's, especially in the field of political science, there are so many options in which direction you could go, and firstly knowing what you want to do, but then also not being disappointed when you get your first rejection for a job, because a lot of times it takes quite a bit of time until someone replies to you. So I think that's a really big challenge, dealing with these rejections that you get from job applications, and still trying to move forward and to stay motivated and to say, the right job will come. It just takes some time, and yeah, to stay motivated, I think is quite difficult at the beginning.
Right. What are your short-term and long-term plans? I mean, are you planning to pursue your postgraduate studies, or just start working and continue working in your career straight away? Or what are your plans? I mean, on the short-term and long-term?
I applied for a master's degree in migration studies. So I'm currently waiting for their response, whether I got into the program or not. So if I would get into that program, I would start my master's degree in September. Mm-hmm. So that's the very short term. On the other hand, I'm also open for working for a while longer and gaining a bit more practical experience, and then doing my master's degree. So it really depends on if I find a good job opportunity that I like, and in which I get this job, then I might do this. And other than that, I think I'm gonna start my master's.
Right. How do you manage your time? I mean, between studying, between having your own personal hobbies, dancing, traveling, and at the same time working. How did you learn to manage your time?
I think I'm someone who likes to be very busy. I think I'm the most. When I'm a bit stressed, I work the best. Let's put it that way. Obviously, it's important to find a balance between working and also taking care of your own health and your mental health. So that has been a bit of a challenge for me in my last year of university, where I was trying to find out how to combine these two. But I think mostly it's planning your week and planning what you want to do, so that you have certain things that are set, and then the time that is left, your free time, you can use however you want. But it's mainly having a clear plan, I guess.
How far do you think that academic studies help in achieving career goals?
I think it's a good way to have a general idea of the field you're working in, and I think universities teach you how to think in some way. I think that's the beauty of universities, but I think further than that, you really learn a lot actually when you're working, because what you learn in the classroom is a lot of times very theoretical, and then you go into the real world and you see, okay, sometimes it's a lot more complicated and different than what you've learned, because in real life there are so many more stakeholders.
Sure. We have some of your photos here, if you would like to comment.
That was me traveling in the Netherlands. It was on one of the islands of the Netherlands, yeah.
Right. It's beautiful there.
Yeah, it's really, it's a lot of nature.
Amsterdam is very nice. Or you were in Amsterdam or outside?
No, this is a small island in the north. Yeah, that's when I was graduating university.
Yeah. Is Leiden University in Amsterdam or outside?
No, Leiden University is one of the oldest universities in the Netherlands, and it's actually located in the city Leiden.
Okay.
But I was studying and living in the city The Hague, and they're like 10 minutes from each other by train. And Leiden University has a campus in Leiden and one in The Hague, and for international studies and international students, it's in The Hague.
Tell me, who is your role model and support in life?
I think my support in life is my family and my friends, because they support me in all my decisions, and they also give me a lot of free room to express myself and to experience what I want to do. And a role model, I think there are many. Someone who I would think of, she's an author. Her name is Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. She's Nigerian. And I love her books because she talks about really important topics like feminism and empowering women. She talks about the experience of migration, but she does it in a very nice way through novels and through stories. So I think that's really empowering what she does. Yeah.
Right, so you're very, very much interested into women empowerment and female empowerment. How do you think this is important to the new generations, if we talk about female youth?
Yeah, I think it's really important because when you're empowering women, you're giving them a space to express themselves. You're giving them the possibility to think of what they would actually really like to achieve in life. And it creates new spaces, and also obviously as half of the population is women, it is really important to actually make their voices heard, and in order to have a flourishing society you need also the input of women, obviously.
Right, we're going to go to this short break and we'll be right back. Once again with Sabrina. Sabrina, tell me, we talked about female empowerment, female youth empowerment. We want to talk about youth empowerment in general. How do you think it's important to empower youth, and what's the role of youth towards their countries?
I think it's really important to empower youth, because when you're empowering youth, you're giving them an active voice and you're actually making them to active citizens in society, and that's what we need. And you know, at the end of the day, youth are the future of a country, because they are the ones who are going to rule the country. They're the ones who are going to be in every part of society. So if you don't actually empower them and give them an active voice, you're losing so much potential that a country and young people have.
Right, we've seen a lot of events taking place here in Egypt, like youth conferences, international youth forums. And since you traveled a lot and you mixed with different youth from different cultures, how important is this in creating a bond among youth from different cultures, having different views and opinions about different topics? How do you see the significance of these gatherings to you?
I think it's incredibly powerful if you bring a lot of young people from different places together, because we can all learn from each other. We have such different experiences, such different life realities. So when you bring a lot of young people from all over the world together, you're really fostering an exchange of knowledge and an exchange of experiences, and that's what we really need, to have empathy towards each other and to understand that we come from different experiences. And in order to be more aware and inclusive towards other people, you have to understand that someone might have experienced something completely different, and I think such forums really create that.
Right, Sabrina, since you traveled a lot and you mixed with the youth from different countries, do you think that challenges facing youth in different countries are common? They face the same common challenges?
I don't know if it's always that it's exactly the same challenges, you know, but I think there's a common denominator in the fact that all young people everywhere face challenges, and especially in times where our world is very uncertain, and issues such as climate change are really, they're really growing, you know. I think there are a lot of things that a lot of young people experience everywhere that are similar and that we can bond through.
Right, there's an upcoming important event taking place at the National Museum, at the organization that you're working at. Tell me more about this event. I mean, it's very important and for our youth to know about it.
Yeah. So this event is taking place from the 20th to the 24th of May, so this Saturday it's starting. It's going to be in the National Museum for Egyptian Civilization, and it's called the Empower Her Art Forum. So it's an art exhibition that is basically showing the art of 105 artists from 35 countries, and those are all women. And so it's all about women empowerment, but there are also art workshops that people can join and people can watch. And then on the 23rd of May, there are also panel discussions around the topic of women empowerment.
Right. Would you like to tell our viewers how they can make a link to this? I mean, is it online, of course, right?
So you can find the Empower Art Forum on Instagram, on Facebook, and on all social media. And it's open for the public, so it's for free. Everyone can come. And the art exhibition is going to be open from 9 to 5 on all these days. And yeah, so that's how people can come. And if people are interested in joining the panel discussions, there's going to be a link through social media, which you can register through, so that we just have an idea of how many people are actually attending.
Right, I would like to thank you very much for joining Sabrina Dadour, for your input and for your insight, and all the best of luck to you.
Thank you so much.
Dear viewers, that brings us to the end of this edition of Today's Youth. Don't forget to join us next week, same time. Till then, it's goodbye.